Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the 14th Annual MITSS Dinner. My name is Jim Rattray, and I am the Executive Vice President of Bennett Group. We are a Boston-based healthcare, advertising, marketing, and communication agency working with clients across the country. I am proud to be one of the three co-chairs of this event, along with Dale Micalizzi and Dr. Rick Van Pelt, and to be a member of the MITSS Board of Directors. I know you are all used to seeing Linda Kenny up here running the show. Well, rest assured, Linda is still running the show. As many of you know, Linda has recently battled some health issues. Linda is here with us this evening. I hope many of you have already gotten a chance to say hello to her. But she's asked me to assume some of the duties and to be your MC for the evening. So we're going to start by asking the members of the leadership committee to come forward for a quick photo. I'd ask them to stand up and please walk forward and gather right here in front of the stage, please. All of the members of the leadership committee are in your program book, and so you can see the great group that was assembled to make this evening happen. So while the leadership committee comes forward, I really want to thank them for their incredible work this year. This has been an outstanding year with more money raised for MITSS than last year, and that means MITSS can do even more to further our mission. So please join me in a round of applause for the 2015 MITSS Dinner Leadership Committee. Okay, thank you very much. I would also like to thank the planning committee and volunteers, all of whom worked tirelessly throughout the year to ensure that this event is as wonderful as it is. Without them, tonight would not be possible. And I would ask the members of the planning committee and our volunteers to please stand so we can acknowledge you. We are all here tonight because we believe in the mission of MITSS. MITSS was founded to create awareness about the emotional impact of medical errors and/or bad medical outcomes on patients, families, and clinicians. MITSS was born from an event that nearly took a patient's life. That person is Linda Kenny, our founder. And if you don't know Linda's story, I encourage you to read about it at MITSS.org. And while Linda continues to struggle with a new health challenge today, she will be the first to tell you that the culture around disclosure and support has changed for the better, but there is still much work to do. That culture is better in large part because of MITSS. MITSS provides a number of direct support services to patients, families, and clinicians through phone support, through patient and family therapeutic educational groups, through nursing groups, and through one-on-one support. More recently, MITSS has created tools that any healthcare organization can use to build their own support programs based on best practices. In fact, we will be sending an announcement on Monday about the release of an updated version of our Clinician Support Toolkit for Healthcare, which will be available at mitstools.org. This work was made possible by our wonderful underwriters, Constellation MMIC, Coverse, and Crico. So thank you for them. We are proud to be at the forefront of clinician support, but we realize still that not enough is being done on the patient and family side. In 2016, MITSS plans to focus our efforts on the needs of patients and families by offering virtual support groups and developing tools to assist healthcare organizations in providing better emotional support to those who are suffering. We are also excited to announce that RL Solutions is providing and tweaking their software so that MITSS can more effectively track our calls, such as what kind of event occurred and where the inquiries are coming from, so we can better tailor our services and support to be the most effective possible. MITSS is doing some really fabulous work, and all of you should be proud that your support helps make this work possible. So I was honored this year to work with two very esteemed co-chairs, and I'd like you to hear a few words from them now, so I'm going to ask them both to join me on stage. The first you'll hear from is Dale Micalizzi. Dale is a nationally known advocate for pediatric patient safety and transparency in medicine. Her 11-year-old son, Justin, died following a simple incision and drainage of an infected ankle in 2001. Dale has worked tirelessly in search of answers about her son's death, giving rise to a quest to improve pediatric patient safety and transparency in healthcare. Her efforts focus on compassion and support for grieving families, full disclosure of adverse medical events, and education and reform that will restore ethics and safety to medicine. Please welcome Dale Micalizzi.
Thank you, Jim. And thank you, Linda, for inviting me to be a co-chair this year. I'm really honored to be part of this, and thank you all the leadership committee and everybody for attending and joining us. I'm going to read you a letter. I wrote this letter September 11th, 2011. I titled it "The Letter That Took Me 10 Years to Write." It will explain a little bit about my struggle following Justin's death. Dear anesthesiologist, orthopedic surgeons, and hospital CEO, you may remember our youngest son, Justin. He was 11. You cared for him 10 years ago. He presented to you on January 15, 2001 for an incision and drainage of a septic ankle. We believe that the surgery was performed primarily by the orthopedic resident, during which time Justin experienced a series of cardiac arrests accompanied by a pulmonary hemorrhage from the endotracheal tube. He was transported to the PICU at another facility in grave condition, and he died that morning after being removed from life support with no hope for survival. His brother and sister were asked by the chaplains to be present to say goodbye. Being teenagers, at that time, this was a life-changing and difficult journey for them and his entire family, friends, and community. Traumatic, unexpected loss and grief are the most unbearable. Hundreds of people are compromised by this event. Upon our arrival home, the coroner's office called, stating that something wasn't right and that we should seek an attorney. With the help of a cardiothoracic surgeon, we finally retained an attorney to help us find answers. Litigation was chosen because of the multiple attempts to speak with you honestly about the care that our son received from you was not taken seriously. The silence was deafening. Although deaths may be a common occurrence for physicians, they are not for parents. Children are more than blood and bones. If you have children, you are aware of this. Parents need more than a simple answer of "we have no idea" when their child dies. The better option for all of you in the future may be to tell parents, "We have no idea what happened, but we will do everything in our power to find out for you." You may remember the depositions. We attended all of those meetings and listened carefully to your words as we remembered every detail prior to the OR. You may not know that I was also questioned for approximately 7 hours by your 3 defense attorneys about the care of my son leading up to this event. I must tell you that although my attorney said that a mother has never been more prepared and caring, that I found that experience to be cruel and inhumane. I did nothing wrong, and I love my son more than words can explain. As I learned from my visit to professors at New York Law School, questioning the parent to such an extent was simply a tactic, albeit inhumane, to have the case dropped. Listening to your heart instead of your attorney's jargon may have been a better option for all of us. I refuse to believe that physicians are lacking to this degree in humanity, which is why I continue to work with them. It is difficult to face a parent after a child dies in your care, but it is a responsibility that comes with the territory. I have worked tirelessly for the past 10 years, now almost 15 years, to promote pediatric patient safety and transparency in medicine. On this quest, I have had the pleasure of working with some of the most brilliant of national healthcare leaders and many anesthesiologists and surgeons. Because of these connections, I am allowed behind the scenes of healthcare that most parents or patients would never see. They trust me. I received a call from one of these physicians recently, 9 years, 9 months, and 4 days after Justin's death. He said that a colleague of one of yours stated that he couldn't live with himself any longer, knowing that I was still searching for the truth. He went on to say that all of you, your attorneys, all of you and your attorneys knew from the beginning that Justin was overdosed on phenylephrine. He said that the physician had reached for the wrong medication in error and used it in overdose proportions. I shared this new information with all of the physicians that have helped me over the years. Learning from the event is important to me. My child did not die in vain. A newly released IHI white paper that I've assisted with, Respectful Management of Serious Clinical Adverse Events, may be beneficial to your practice. You may find the document on their website. I have also co-authored a published article in Pediatric Anesthesia, What Happens When Things Go Wrong, and also a paper with Dr. Marie Bismarck, The Power of Apology. I've assisted with another article for closed claims, physician communication skills, decrease malpractice claims, and have written for a Joint Commission book on compassion in healthcare, along with several other projects. I have presented at Yale to third-year medical residents, NCR Picker, IHI, Loma Linda, New Jersey Council of Teaching Hospitals, LA County Health Department, HMA, and many other healthcare organizations nationally. I was co-chair for the IHI Forum the year that I wrote this letter, where my foundation has provided 10 scholarships, now 25 this year we've awarded, to health caregivers working with underserved pediatric populations. I asked them to donate to my work in this letter. Although this physician informant's information was troubling, it was also healing for me. You see, parents blame themselves when something happens to their child. It was our duty to keep him safe. You may not understand this, but I could literally feel the burden of the unknown melting from my shoulders, even though I have yet to hear the rest of the story. Justin was our child, and I am grateful to the physician who finally had the courage to tell me a bit more about the truth. Forgiving you for withholding this information from me and my family has been difficult. I will never forget the events of that day or following, but I am getting closer to accepting the truth as an error or an accident that was poorly handled. I never believed that anyone meant to harm Justin. My hope would be that fear of litigation will not prompt you to repeat these poor choices if tragedy should strike another family in your care. Your patients deserve better. We trusted you to tell the truth and do your best. Perhaps someday you will be able to share Justin's story with your students so that they can learn from your mistakes and another child's life can be saved. And another parent will not have to go through what we have. I hope later today you'll hear another story by Leilani of what good choices her hospital made following the death of her child. I ask you to support MITSS in the work that they do. Doctors need help after events as well as parents and families. So I thank you for listening, and I hope you can do the right thing for the next family. Thank you.
Thank you, Dale. That's a very riveting story, really. Our other co-chair is Dr. Rick Van Pelt. Rick is an associate clinical principal with the Chartist Group, with more than 15 years of experience in clinical practice, performance improvement, patient safety, and change management within hospitals. Rick has been with Partners Healthcare System, Harvard Medical School, Mass General Hospital, Brigham and Women's. And Rick, as many of you know, is the other half of Linda's story and why MITSS was founded, and has been one of our greatest champions over the years. So please welcome Dr. Rick Van Pelt.
Good evening, everybody. It's a pleasure to have a few moments to share some thoughts with you. And before I start, I just wanted to acknowledge the honor that it's been for me to serve as co-chair for this annual dinner. And again, to thank the Leadership Committee and the Planning Committee for doing such an outstanding job to put this together, and to have all of you present tonight. So thank you. What I wanted to do is just share with you a couple of thoughts about where we've been, where we are, and what the opportunities are as we move forward. I've had a lot of time to reflect and to incorporate a lot of learning from the experience that I was involved with Linda. And I think what is particularly of note to me tonight is that next Wednesday is the date that marks 16 years after which I inadvertently injected a near-lethal dose of local anesthetic while performing a routine nerve block, which not only was transformative in my life, but certainly in Linda's and her family's. And I think, as much as it would not have been the desire, was certainly the kickoff for what we have today in MITSS and for the movement towards acknowledging the importance to understand and manage the sharp end of care. So when I reflect back to, the early days and how we went about trying to move this forward, we didn't have much of anything other than a good story to tell, I think the courage to tell it, and compassion within our hearts that this was the right thing to do and it was the right thing to move forward with. And with that start, we gradually started to have an increasing audience of people who would listen and who started to recognize that there was a big gap in the patient safety movement around managing and understanding and actually taking care of people who are impacted, the individuals, both on the clinical side, the patients and families. Over the years, I think we're an evidence-based group. We're care providers, many of us in academic settings, but otherwise. And I think where there was a hesitancy to move forward, over the years, we've really developed a much better understanding of what the need is and what the opportunities are. I think we have evidence now that clearly demonstrates the impact that adverse events have on care providers, patients, and families. We have increasing evidence that the impact not only touches people emotionally, but has an impact as far as the delivery of safe care is concerned after an adverse event happens. We've started to understand the sequence of healing that occurs and the need to provide a structured way of providing support for everybody who's involved, be it the care providers, patients, and families, even extending into other services where you wouldn't necessarily think that they were impacted. And we have a lot of organizations now that have taken the lead and really stand out as thought leaders and examples of how to do this right. So where do we go from here? I think we're at a point now where it's no longer just a story. People have a lot of stories, and I know there are plenty of people in this room who have stories of their own. And I think the opportunity that we have now is to recognize that, for all the champions that are represented in this room, everybody's at a little bit of a different stage as far as where they are on this journey to being transparent, to recognizing that apology is a good thing, to recognizing that support is part of quality, it's part of safety, it's part of the culture that we need to build, whether it's at the sharp end or whether it's in our everyday care. And so I think the challenge that I would put forward to everyone here is that irrespective of where you are in your journey, whether you're at the beginning or whether you feel like you're pushing towards the end, is take one more step forward. Recognize that for every adverse event that occurs, it's not a statistic, it's not a number, it's people who are harmed. And we're in an industry and in an environment where we're basically here to heal and to help people. And whether you touch an entire population or you touch one person, what really matters at the end of the day is that one person that you touch. So again, I think the opportunity that we have is for all of the tools that are out there and for all the opportunity and all of the hard work that's been done, represented by MITSS and Linda's tireless efforts to move this forward, and with everybody's collective resolve and drive to really push this forward, that we still have a ways to go. And I think everybody here has the opportunity to take one step forward. I know I'm committed to that in the work that I do currently, and I hope you will embrace the same. So thank you very much. I hope you enjoy the dinner. And again, it's a pleasure to be a co-chair and to be part of this celebration. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Rick. So now it's my turn as co-chair, and I'll echo and say it certainly has been an honor and a pleasure to serve as co-chair alongside Dale and Rick and with the entire leadership committee. As with Linda, both Dale and Rick have personally lived through challenges that follow an adverse or unexpected outcome. My own journey through patient engagement isn't tied to personal challenge. It comes from a realization over a long career in healthcare that we in the healthcare space could do more to support those who have entrusted us with their care. Even in the best of times, being a patient can be confusing, frustrating, and even downright scary. And when things don't go as planned, that's when the need for openness and support increases. But oftentimes, it's when talk stops. We all know it doesn't have to be that way, and that's why we're all here tonight. My involvement in patient engagement came from the family and community side. When I was VP of Marketing at South Coast Health System, I was asked to form and lead our new Patient and Family Advisory Council. As our council grew, one of the topics our members found most pressing was how we dealt with adverse outcomes, particularly disclosure and reconciliation, and how we involved patients and families directly. I am proud to say that South Coast addressed the topic directly, openly, and with a determination to be inclusive. Tonight, as MITSS celebrates its 14th anniversary, I'm excited to see us come full circle. MITSS has been a leader in clinician support, and those efforts continue to grow. And in the coming year, as I've already said, we are doubling down on our efforts to support patients and families. As Rick said, it's all about taking the next step. Any step, no matter how big or small, to make sure your journey to better patient engagement benefits everyone. Your support helps ensure that we are taking all of those steps together. Thank you. It's about time to eat. So we have a couple of quick, important announcements. First of all, MITSS deeply appreciates the support we have received from so many hospitals, healthcare organizations, foundations, companies, firms, and others. We are also asked by many of you how you can personally support MITSS. One way is to make a personal donation, and you can do that tonight. There are donation sheets on every table. They're around the middle. There's a little envelope with a piece of paper. And our staff, our MITSS staff, will be by during dessert to collect them. And to make things a little bit sweeter, we're raffling off a new iPad mini at the end of the evening. So if you get your envelope in, you get a chance to win the iPad. Also, another important announcement, and a lot of you probably want to know this one, is that if you valet park tonight, there is a discount card at the registration table. Make sure you pick that up on your way out. Thank you all for your support. Thank you all for being here. Enjoy your meal. We'll be back in about a half an hour.